Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. Tiny 4-game slate here, but the goal remains the same. We are going to try to help you win some money. Hopefully we can do that. If we do help you in any way, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come get extra free advice in Discord. It's 100% free there. If you want core plays every day for NBA, you can hit up dfsbuild.com. Just $5.99 a month for NBA plays every single day, plus all the NFL content we push out. Taylor's been doing some NHL a little bit here and there, and we do MMA and when it's in season MLB as well. So definitely take advantage of that. That is what we call a deal. The way this goes, we go team by team, highlighting our favorite plays, just breaking down the slate, adding a little bit of nuance to the whole deal. And I know sometimes we're looking for straight up picks, and we do give you that, but a little bit more. All right, let's get to it. Clippers in Orlando. They're taking on the Magic, 6-point dogs without Kawhi Leonard, And of course, on the other side, Orlando does not have Paulo Banchero. All of the feedback in Taylor's residence today. But hey, James
was
Harden.
A plane flying overhead. Just
it's always,
I don't know.
There's always something new, and that's what adds to the allure of showing up in the live stream. By the way, if you are watching live, feel free to drop a comment, and we'll cover your comment or question as we go. And if you're not live, just hit up Discord if you need extra advice, or you can drop a comment on the live page. And if it's, if I see it, I'll answer it later in the day. Okay, so let's just start with James Harden. Are you building around Harden? He has 10K, but he's got one of the best projections of the slate. Pretty good matchup here. I asked you off air because I just didn't know if Orlando is still running at a really fast pace because they had been earlier in the year. So give me your thoughts there, and if you know if the Magic have kept up that pace.
I think they've slowed it down. They're not as slow as they were, but let's see. They're currently 8th, so they are still running pretty fast. Yeah. I think Harden's a great play. I have him tagged as a core play on FanDuel. That's why the photo in Discord is Obama with LeBron. You have Harden in the background. It made me laugh.
Obama.
It's just very dumb. But yeah, Harden's a great play either way. It's easier on FanDuel where he's cheaper and shooting guard. But 10K flat for the role without Kawhi is still affordable enough. I think the matchup is okay. He's just very productive. He plays tons of minutes every night. They're rested. They're not on the second half of back-to-back or anything. So I think he's a great play. This is a weird slate without a ton of stars. We obviously don't have Wemby. Jokic isn't playing tonight. Giannis is out. So he's one of the better pay-ups by default. I think I prefer him to guys like Fox and Maxey. So yeah, I think he's fantastic. I don't have much more to add, I guess.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing is, at least I say this sometimes, relative to the slate, whether a guy is good or bad. The reason why I really like Harden is because it doesn't matter how big the slate would be. I would still have interest in Harden at this price because he just has an immense ceiling. The matchup is good enough, and the role is just insane. 36% usage or better in the last 2 games. This 87 burger is not what we're demanding here, but that is what he's capable of. I mean, I want that. But yeah, he's my preferred stud right now, coming at 25% ownership on a 4-game slate. That feels remarkably low. So I'm going to take advantage of that and go way over. Zubac's at 7.4. That looks pretty good. He gets an increased usage without Kawhi. He has not gone off. Remember last year when he started the year with Kawhi out and he was just a beast? But it hasn't really been to that level. But he can still get there, 44 plus in these 3 games here. And he's just decent when he's not getting there. At 7.4, I don't think he's a must on DraftKings. I think he's a little bit easier to get to on FanDuel. But I like him on DraftKings. If I land there, I won't be sad about it. The value is not bad with the Clippers. I mean, on a bigger slate, it would be bad. But relative to this slate, it actually is pretty decent. John Collins is viable. Bogdanovich off the bench at 4.2. He was good last game. He's been good for 3 straight games. That's probably going to run out eventually. Kobe Sanders is probably going to start at 4K. I don't know if there's a better looking punt as far as just they're definitely going to play and they're really cheap. But yeah, I have interest in all those guys. How about you?
Yeah, they're all okay. My least favorite is Zubac's, just kind of expensive. Orlando's really tough around the rim defensively. He just hasn't been great. He lost some weight this offseason and it hasn't seemed to help him. So I don't know. I think he's fine. I think there are other centers I prefer. My favorite is Bogdanovich of all of them. Like you said, the minutes have been up. He played 27 the other night. That was the second half of a back-to-back when he was questionable to play. So I think there's potential he goes like back into the mid-30s just because they have injuries. They don't have Derek Jones, Kawhi, Jordan Miller. All these guys are out. So there are minutes to go around. Bogdanovic, historically, a very good, or at least a good permanent guy. So I like him a lot. Kobe Sanders, I think, is shakier, especially if he's more owned. Like, I just prefer Bogdanovic straight up over Kobe Sanders. The thing about Sanders is he's guard forward, which makes him easier to get into lineups. But I'm kind of wary of that. He's not a great per minute guy. Got there in the last game, but seems a bit shakier now that he's up to 4K.
I agree. It does seem shaky because he barely got there and he had 17 real points. So it's certainly worth wondering if that is something we can actually rely on and trust can happen again. I will say also right now he's almost double as owned as Bogdanovic. I think there's something about the safety of a known starter at that price. So if he's going to really gain this much steam, I absolutely will join you in the Bogdanovic love. I think they're both good plays. And like you said, Sanders being available at small forward as well, you can play them together. I probably wouldn't. I probably would just take a stand on one or the other.
I don't think I would either.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think you can on a 4-game slate. You can kind of do anything. But yeah, decent value. And I would definitely prefer them over Dunn because he just does not have a ceiling. Yeah, that's pretty much it over here. All right. For Orlando, Franz Wagner, 8.8K, getting a little bit rich. Desmond Bane at 7.5 feels like the play between the two. You can always play Wagner in tournaments. Don't really love that he's getting ownership. I think he'd be more owned than Bane, so I'm just naturally going to Bane there. Jalen Suggs looks better than both of them. 6K, the minutes are okay. Not really the best matchup in the world, but for 6K, I think you can do a lot worse. Wendell Carter's okay. And De Silva, like if he's going to get the minutes, he's a decent value at 5K, but I don't really like Orlando that much. I think you can certainly make a case for the top three guys, maybe even Wendell, but the one I like the most is going to be Suggs.
Yeah, Suggs and Bane, I think, are the best. I am getting more of Suggs right now just because he's cheap. He did see 31 minutes in the last game, which was a season high. Generally gets more usage in playmaking without Paolo. So he's a perfectly fine play. I never feel like a lot of conviction with Jalen Suggs, especially now that he's priced up. But the Clipper defense without Kawhi, without Derek Jones, is just not as good.
Right.
So it's a fine spot for him. I'm okay with Bane just because shooting guard is shooting guard. He has come around lately without Banchero. Like, he got off to a horrible start, but he's kind of come back without Paolo the last few games. He's looked a little more like himself. Historically a good per minute guy, so I trust the longer sample with him. Maybe just needed time to get acclimated to his new teammates and stuff. So I think both Bane and Suggs are great. I think Franz is fine to a lesser extent. Not my favorite play really ever. Priced up, small forward's fine. You know, he owns, so it's like, okay, not something I'm dying to play. Wendell, I think, is still good just because he's cheap. Like, there's never really a huge ceiling with him, but he can get you 40, and 40 at 5,400 is more than enough. So I'm okay with him. I prefer him to like Collins in the same range. I think Wendell is just a better play. And then Black and De Silva, not really on my radar. I think De Silva is kind of a chase, and then Black with Suggs back is just a secondary tournament dart throw.
Yeah, I like the Wendell call specifically in relation to John Collins. I think John Collins is a tourney play with a better ceiling, but I think Wendell, like we always talk about, he doesn't have a ceiling. And that's kind of true, but he is pretty safe. Like, he's not going to hurt you, I don't think. But, you know, if he has a bad game, he'll get you like 25 to 30. If he has a good game, he'll get you 35 to 40. That's pretty much who he is. Any interest in Goga, though, off the bench, especially if Wendell is going to be popular, which it looks like he could gain some steam?
I always have some interest in Goga. The issue is he doesn't play 20 minutes. Like, he hasn't played 20 minutes since the end of October. Like, if you play the Wendell foul trouble angle, like with Harden barreling into the paint, there's a path for Goga to see more minutes, and it is a small slate, so I think it's okay. More of a large field multi-entry thing. I wouldn't play him in like single entry.
He is a good permanent guy, though. I am a little bit interested in it just because he's sub 4K. Atlanta visiting the Spurs. This game, it has a 2-point spread. The Spurs are without Wemby and Stephen Castle. Jalen Johnson for the Atlanta side, 9.8K, getting a little bit steep, but he's been crushing. I mean, that's looking pretty good. 50 plus fantasy points in 4 straight games. He had that crazy 90-point game. Porzingis and Riza could be back here in this game. That would put a dent in the upside a little bit. If they're out, Jalen would look like a god, playable anyways. If those guys are in, pretty big hit to Naw at 6'8", huge hit to Onyeka at 7'6". I kind of hope that they play. And then, maybe if I get to Jalen, okay. I'm just not really getting there. I love the ceiling with him. I'm kind of starting with Harden, and then maybe I'll work to Maxey. But I don't know. I'm just not really getting the Hawks right now. We'll see if any of those guys are out.
Yeah, they're kind of a wait and see with 2 starters questionable. As of now, it's kind of just Jalen and nothing. Daniels is okay. I never feel great about him over 7K. Alexander Walker expensive. I think Porzingis is playable if he's in. Just no one's going to play him. Center eligibility under 7K. We've seen some upside, even though he doesn't really ever see a ton of minutes. So I'm okay with Porzingis if he's in. If these guys are out, I think you can go back to Vit Krejci. Didn't do anything in the last game, but he did play 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He's guard forward eligible, so that's handy. I think he'd be a pretty good play without Risa Shea. And then obviously a Kongwu, if Porzingis is out, is fine. But again, he's getting really up there. So it's kind of not a smash, but he's still a lot more playable in that situation.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. How about the value punts for the Hawks in the event that Porzingis is indeed out? Are you looking at Muhammad over here at all?
Let's see. In the last game, he got 21 off the bench, so he's playable. He's 4,500 again. So these guys are getting more expensive. I think he'd be fine. I don't think I'd be dying to play him, but in that situation, he'd be a lot more playable.
Luke Kennard as Vit leverage if Risa Shea ends up, I don't think so. It feels bad. All right, so for the Spurs, De'Aaron Fox price took a significant hike to the point where I don't think you need to force him in your lineups. I think I'd rather just go get Harden or Maxey. Certainly a fine play. He should have usage, but he had the same role the other day and only got 38 fantasy points, so it's not like he's a guarantee smash. Pretty interesting that he's not very owned right now, so I do think in tournaments he's a little bit interesting as a leverage away from Maxey and Harden. If you just ask me to pick a lane, I'm just picking Harden right now. That's my top pay up of the slate. Devin Vassell does not project that great, but the role is going to be pretty good here with 2 high usage guys not played. Keldon Johnson's going to soak up a lot of that, though. If he's chalky again at 5'4", it looks like he certainly will be. He's a good play, but I don't mind taking a shot on Champagny, Harry Barnes. Sohan's kind of limited, so I don't know if I want to do that. We could still go back to Luke Cornett but if he's going to be really owned, we could also just flip it over to Kelly Olynyk too. So I think there's a lot of leverage points on this slate, but specifically with the Spurs. I just spit on myself when I was
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spurs are interesting just because they do still have a lot of bodies, and they're kind of all interchangeable, Sohan and Barnes and Vassell and Keldon and Champagny, they're all kind of the same guy. And then Cornett as the starter ahead of Olynyk. They're both good per minute guys. Cornett was awful the other day. Yeah. He's 5,800 now. I think that's still cheap enough.
Look at that balmy usage rate.
Yeah, well, he's just kind of a guy who's going to stand around and maybe hit some threes. But
yeah,
I think he's playable if no one's going to be on him. He's only $400 more than he was the other night when he was chalk. And it's a small slate. So I'm okay with Cornett. I'm not really getting there right now. Olynyk, it's really only worth targeting Olynyk if Cornett is chalky, but since neither of them really is, it's not the leverage point it was the other night. I think they're both still playable, but just not really high priorities, I don't think.
Yeah.
Keldon looks like the best play. He's 5,400. He's small forward eligible, which is always helpful. The minutes have been decent for him. There's risk because Keldon is kind of scoring dependent. He's coming off the bench, so if he's not playing well, the minutes are not guaranteed. So I think, just like the other night, I think Harrison Barnes was a leverage play away from Champagny, who was much chalkier, and Champagny flatlined, and Barnes was amazing. It's Harrison Barnes, so nothing is ever certain with these guys, but And again, like today, they're not really looking like they're going to be owned. The owned pieces here are Keldon, and then Vassell, and then to a lesser extent, Fox and Barnes are like in the 10 to 15% range. I think Vassell is okay. I like that he has guard forward on DK now, but it's Devin Vassell. He's another guy who's like not a guarantee to do a lot if his shots are not falling. There's a lot of fragility with the Spurs without Castle and Wemby, just because we haven't seen this lineup with Fox really ever over the past couple of years. So there's a lot of still guesswork in the projections. I think the minutes are kind of volatile. It's not something I'm dying to get deep into. I think individually I'm okay with Keldon, Fox, Vassell, and then the other guys to a lesser extent, but it's still a pretty dicey situation, especially if some of these guys get a lot of ownership.
Yeah, well, like the reality is it's dicey kind of no matter what. So like I kind of like the idea of just going away from at least Keldon. Keldon is extremely scoring dependent. If he is not hitting his shot, 35, maybe more % owned Keldon Johnson feels horrible. It's kind of like yesterday with the Warriors. You know, you're saying Discord, like if everybody's going to be playing this guy or these guys, we can definitely entertain just not doing that. Like, look, Pat Spencer, who just went ape shit yesterday as an unowned 3K punt. So not that Champagny or Cornette are going to be safe, but they honestly don't project that much away from even Keldon, and they're not going to be owned at all. So right away, I love the idea of playing both of them and getting away from Keldon. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But in a vacuum, you're right. Fox and Keldon look like obviously good plays, with Keldon being the play for the Spurs. For Sacramento, Sabonis is questionable. Keegan Murray returned and now is questionable for this game. So keep an eye on their statuses. That is rather large, because if one or both of them are out, we could be looking at a Precious Achiuwa slate. He started the last game and kind of smashed. 32 fantasy points, that's more of a definitely smashed. So I have a lot of interest in him, especially since he's power forward eligible. Just got to keep an eye on whether or not we actually can use him. Your boy, Drew Eubanks, would also be in play in that setting.
My boy. That is very rude.
You were all about him the other day.
I brought him up very briefly.
I know. I'm giving you shit. I know. We bring up a lot of guys. It was very much in jest. You're like 4.2 Eubanks. How did he do? Anyways, it's not like Precious. Right? It's like I don't think so.
He's just bad. Yeah.
Either way, if this same situation presents itself and Precious starts, I think he looks awesome. Up top, none of it looks great as far as like reliability, but I love an overlooked Russ on the slate. The fact that he's 7'9" is like the biggest reason why nobody's going to want to play him. But the spot against Memphis is like the nuts on this slate, you know? So Russ looks amazing. You could talk me into DeMar and Levine. It doesn't look like they really want to play these guys a ton of minutes, probably because they're trying to trade them. And then like Schroeder, Monk especially. These guys are just okay lower mid-range guys that I don't mind getting to. Do I want to load up on Kings? No, but they're all kind of cheap. But Russ is like one of my favorite plays right now in tournaments.
Yeah, my favorite player is Sabonis by a lot if he's in.
Well, if he's
8,600, just like wildly cheap. He's not been amazing because the Kings are a disaster with a bunch of high usage ball hogs. You probably line up with him, and he doesn't really get any defensive stats, so it kind of is a grind for him to get there. But 8-6 against Memphis without Jaren Jackson in there to protect the paint is just like a pretty awesome spot for him. If he's in, I'm expecting minutes. Center only is whatever. I think on FanDuel he has power forward, but he looks like one of the best plays on the slate, I think.
I guess I don't really think he's going to play, but I agree. If he's in sub 9K Sabonis, it's pretty appealing.
Yeah, the others are just like secondary. It's very hard to have a lot of confidence in any of them. It's kind of like the Toronto stuff where they're all in there. They're all just siphoning each other. So Monk, Westbrook, Levine, fine, but Sabonis, I think, is the one who stands out a lot.
Yeah, and to be clear, I would really only like those guys a good amount if Sabonis is indeed ruled out. If Sabonis is in, they become a lot less appealing. Even Russ. I am curious, though, what Russ's ownership would be if Sabonis isn't going to play. If it stays where it's at, that is when I would be interested in Russ. On the other side, you got Memphis. Lots to like here. Like is a very funny word sometimes. But Santi Aldama looks great at 4.8 with no JJJ. He's going to hoist. Santi Hyde
5'8".
come out and play. Oh, 5'8". Well, still, he's too cheap. Vince Williams also looks good. Cedric Coward, if they ever want to let him play actual minutes, that'd be cool. Don't really like him because of that at 6'3", but I guess he's okay. Edie at 5'9". And then you can go dumpster diving with Spencer, Wells, and Landell if you want to. But Santi and Vince, that's the coriest of the cores. They look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's very hard to get away from them. They're both going to be like 70+% owned, but they're great. They're underpriced for the roles they have. Williams has small forward, which is full descent point for this team. So fine with that. Aldama, probably the best play on the slate at any position. Just no Jaren Jackson, no John Morant. Going to get a ton of usage for them. And the minute should steam for him as well. I think Cat's still good just because this team does not have usage pieces, and he's one guy who has shown that he's willing to shoot. Even if he's limited, I think at 6'3" on a small slate, I'm very interested in that. Wells and Spencer are fine. Spencer is a bit pricey, but he's okay per minute. Not as good as Pat, but still decent on a slate with like sketchy, cheap value beyond the top two Grizzlies we talked about. I think he's okay. And then Edie, fine. If he's really owned, which it looks like he might be, then Cornette is a pretty good leverage play off of him all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of ways to go at center, like Drummond's on the slate. We'll get to other stuff. Miles Turner. So mid-range is loaded. If Edie's popular, I don't think it's great. So I'd probably be looking to get away from that.
Yeah, because he's kind of limited still too. So like if they're not going to really fully extend him, he's a great per minute guy, but it's kind of hard to fully trust that. Yeah. Okay. So moving on here, Philly and the Bucks in Milwaukee. Philly is a 2.5-point favorite. They get PG-13 back. Still no Joel Embiid. So the return of well, I don't think so. It doesn't seem like he's going to. So provided Embiid is out, Maxey still looks great. I was right about it yesterday. I said he's probably going to get you 50, max 60. You get 49. Every time I play Maxey, he can't even get 50. It's so annoying. Anyways. If you want 50 fantasy points, play Maxey. He just does. He gets it every time. So he's a good play. Drummond looks fine at 6'4". What did he do yesterday? Just meh. But the minutes are there. So if you want just a really strong mid-range play against the Bucks here, he looks good. Edgecombe, Grimes, PG-13. I think they're all just going to cut into each other enough that I'm not like that psyched. I think Edgecombe and Grimes are still cheap enough, though, that you can play them. I just think George being back makes me not really want to, and I don't really like the value here with George in and potentially Embiid in.
Yeah, I think Embiid is a pretty interesting play if he's in. I assume we're still getting like mid-20s minutes from him if he plays, but he's been very good per minute. He's just been limited. He's Embiid. He's not going to be extended really all season, but for 7-6 on a slate where he might have like sub 10% ownership, I'm going to be pretty over the field on that if he's in. If he's out, it's Drummond again. Like 64 is fine. I'm not in love with the spot with Miles Turner on the other side, kind of pulling him away from the rim if they match up. But he's good per minute still. I think he's a fine play, just a little bit pricey. Maxey, like you said, is just kind of always there. I don't think George coming back hurts him. I think George coming back hurts guys like Edgecombe and Grimes a lot more.
Yep.
So, like, guys I'm not really onto. We talked about yesterday without George that Grimes is pulling a lot of ownership, even though Edgecombe is priced essentially the same and projected essentially the same, making Edgecombe a really good pivot. And then Edgecombe was the one that you wanted to have. So
yep.
These kinds of things are pretty clear, like we're talking about with the center stuff. Like if Cornette's not a guy like he is, then just make that pivot, and there's a decent chance the guy outscores him at like 1/19 of the ownership. So
yeah,
we'll see how the team shakes out. A lot of injuries, but if Embiid is in, I'm pretty interested.
Especially when the plays are so comparable. Like Grimes and Edgecombe like had the same projection, same price, and just a major gap in ownership. So clearly you can be wrong about that, but when you aren't wrong about it, that's going to just vault you up the standings in your contest. Because like what, 30 whatever percent of the field is like, oh man, that guy's having a terrible game. And you're like, you're damn right he is. And you're like, just flying up. So Yeah, definitely want to try to do that a couple times in your lineup, especially if you're in big contests. Bucks on the other side. Ryan Rollins looks good, man. No Giannis, so he looks good at 7.5. Obviously, the price is up. I would hope for a better projection, but as I was saying in Discord, I kind of like going like more like a upper mid range instead of forcing that second stud in with Harden. Rollins is part of that, but if he's going to be super chalky, like I didn't have ownership numbers at the time. He's pushing 30% ownership. I don't mind getting away from that. Miles Turner looks like a totally fine play at 6.7. You can play the Turner, Drummond, roulette, or you can go cheaper at center, or you can go up to Sabonis. So lots to like at center once again. Kuz feels expensive. I think he's a core play on FanDuel, but Kuz at 6.9, that's a big no thanks for me. Bobby Portis, we've talked about this before. Like, is he going to actually play the 4, or is he really just going to just be the backup 5 to Miles Turner? He projects decently, but his price is up a little bit. I think you can try Cole Anthony and Gary Trent just because they are, leverage possibilities like on Ryan Rollins at 27% ownership, but I'm not really psyched about that. Honestly, I thought it was going to be like, oh, Bucks, no Giannis, obviously let's go do that. But the prices are up to the point where, like, I don't think they're absolute musts.
It's kind of hard to see a lot to like here. Kuz has a ceiling, as we saw a few games ago. He also has
a floor.
Indeed. So for 6.9, like, you're really paying for that ceiling, and probably not that likely
to happen. How
is
this even possible?
So I don't love really anything. Like, Cole Anthony looks okay, but it looks like he's also really owned, and they've kind of de-emphasized him recently off the bench. Like, it's Cole Anthony. There's a real chance he plays 18 minutes. He can still do enough in 18 minutes to get there because he is a good per minute guy. But if that's chalk, then that's I will be trying to get away from. Rollins, no discount there. Miles Turner, not sure there's a thing there still. Portis has been abysmal and really does not get the minutes without Giannis this season. So, yeah, like, I think these guys are fine. I think Gary Trent, like, if Cole Anthony is really owned, get Trent as a pivot, totally fine with that. They project pretty similarly. But that's really it. I'm not enthralled with anything here.
No, I think if you're just like, oh, what are the best Bucks to play? It'd be Rollins, then Turner, then Kuz. But they're priced up. Like, you don't, and there's other good options on this slate. You don't have to do that. And also, you don't need to look for a hammer game on this slate. There's 3 games to close this slate out. And speaking of which, like, I feel like the king side is going a little bit ignored here. Like, obviously people are going to play Grizzlies. I think I would eat the chalk Grizzlies. I would eat Harden chalk. And then I might look to get a little bit aggressive on the king side of that Memphis game if it can go the way we think it's going to go.
Do you have like 3 or 4 Grizzlies? You should be playing a king on the other side,
right? So right now, if Sabonis is in, I think that's an easy call. If he's out, I think Russ is an easy call. But you could make a case for Levine or DeMar or Precious. Like, I like Precious there too. If it gets to the point where it's like this is now the chalky stack to do on a 4-game slate, we can calibrate and kind of change gears a little bit. But I don't know. I'm not super into the Philly game. Other than Harden, I'm not really into the Clippers game. So it's kind of just sorting itself out for me. Do you have a particular stand or a one guy that's not even chalky that you're building around right now? Or are you just going to kind of wait and see?
Right now it's Embiid, just because I have him projected in. I don't know if he will be. We haven't done the report yet. If he's low owned, I think he's a pretty awesome play. Same with Sabonis. Like, these guys are not blocks to play, but they're both underpriced if they do. So I think playing one of them is pretty interesting. But yeah, it's kind of hard to have a building block. Like, I think Harden is the best expensive play on the slate, but I think he will be owned accordingly.
Yeah, Taylor is handling the core plays today, but I will just give you where I'm at right now. And I think the easiest way to build on the slate is Harden, Santi, and then Vince. I think if you start with those 3 guys, you're going to be with everybody else, but I think that's okay. I think that's the good chalk. And then you have 5 more slots to get a little bit different, and you can eat other chalk too, but you got to find a way to get different somewhere. Okay, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out a ton, and that's something free that you can do for us. If you want more free advice, you can just head over to Discord and join our growing community. And if you want our core plays, you can hit up dfsbuild.com. Just $5.99 a month for the daily NBA plays, plus everything else that we cover. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck.